Okay, hello and welcome to this video. We're going to talk today about what OET score you need for the UK. Alright, this is a question that I often get asked by nurses and doctors, and we're talking about what is accepted by the NMC or the GMC. Okay, now if you're watching this video and you are a doctor and you're confused about this, I'm really glad because this is really easy. I can explain this to you very quickly. All right, doctors require to work in the UK, they require reading, listening, writing and speaking. You need the grade of B in all skills, one test. Okay, now maybe you're watching this and you're coming from IELTS. Maybe you've done IELTS in the past. What is a B? In IELTS, that's the same as 7. Okay, so 7 in IELTS is the same as B in OET. But I will just say, as a teacher, okay, I teach OET all the time. We do 4 or 5 hours of live classes every day. It is tough. It is as tough as IELTS, but I do think the writing slightly, just a little tad bit more manageable than IELTS. Okay, so it is worth thinking about OET if you're not doing very well on IELTS writing. Okay, so doctors, if you want to work in the NHS in the UK, all you need to do is get this score in one sitting, and then you can get your PIN from the GMC, the General Medical Council, and then obviously there's other things you need to do, PLAB, things like that. Okay, but that is the official OET score that is accepted in the UK. Now, nurses, you can see here, all right, but nurses, there's a slight difference. Okay, the writing is only C+. Okay, so this is one test. You sit down, you do the OET test, you do reading, you get a B, listening, you get a B, writing, C+, speaking, B, you've passed the test. Okay, so that is basically the very, very sort of big picture with both these things. However, okay, it's a little bit more complicated when it comes to nurses. All right, it is much more complicated than that. Why? Why is it more complicated? Well, for the simple reason that you can combine scores if you're a nurse. I'm sorry, doctors, you're not allowed to do this if you're a doctor. This is only nurses, but nurses have the possibility of taking 2 scores and combining them into one and passing. Okay, and then the NMC gives you your PIN. So I want to talk about this today because it's this that causes all the confusion. I've seen a lot of memes recently, a lot of things online which are just not accurate and not true. Okay, so I'm going to go through the facts and just to sort of establish a bit of trust. I work for a school called SET. We are official premium providers of the exam. So that means we have done training with OET in order to teach it, and we attend regular conferences and we're regularly sort of speaking to the exam. All right, so we know what's going on. You can trust this video. All right, now let's think then what this means in a bit more detail. Okay, so we'll start by let's just imagine, okay, that let's say January, you do the OET test and this is your score here. Okay, in reading you get C+. You failed. Okay, but listening you get a B. You passed. Writing C+ is a pass if you're a nurse, remember, and speaking you get a B. Okay, so you've passed 3 things, but you failed 1. Okay, now let's imagine that in the second test that you do, okay, your reading score goes up to B, maybe because you have been doing lots of reading classes with SET English. We do reading classes every day in our school. Okay, so maybe you get a B here, all right, you get another B in listening, you get your C+ again in writing, but you fail speaking this time. Maybe you just have a bad day. Okay, the question here is that a pass? Can a nurse with this score now go to the UK and work? The answer is yes. Yes, you can. All right, so let's go through this in a little bit more detail. What's happening here, of course, okay, is that the C+ here is being compensated for with the B. They sort of cancel each other out. Okay? So that means you've passed reading. What about the speaking? Well, look, you already have a pass from the first test. So that sort of like cancels out the poor score in the second test. All right? So this is called, often we call this banking, or it just means combining scores. Okay? Number one is in the bank, if you see what I'm saying. And number two is the sort of the thing that seals the deal, as we say, or gets you over the line. Okay? So this is the general idea. A score from the first test can be compensated for or overturned with a score from the second test. All right, I hope that's clear so far. Now, let's have a look at an extreme example of this. Okay, what it means is that let's imagine in my first test I did quite badly. I failed reading, I failed speaking, failed writing, but I passed the listening. Okay, it's not a complete disaster now because I have banked that B potentially. Okay, but let's talk about this in more detail now. All right, so let's imagine in the second test I get this B, C plus listening, C plus writing, and B in speaking. Is that now a pass? The answer is yes. Okay. Even in your first test, if it's you fail 3 sub-skills and only pass 1, so long as, okay, in the second test you pass all the things you didn't pass last time, and even when you fail the listening second time, right? You're still through. You can still go and work in the UK. You can apply for your PIN from the NMC, and they will give it to you after certain other things. Okay, there are obviously other tests, OSCE, CBT, etc. But it's OET that's the real difficult one. That's the one that most nurses really struggle with. Now, that's a pass. Okay, but how long? All right, how long do we have between the first test and the second test? This is something that is confusing a lot of people at the moment, I think, because the NMC have changed it. The NHS have changed the rules, okay? It used to be that the time between the tests was 6 months, but now it is 12 months, okay? So the time between the first one and the second one can be 12 months. So for example, in January, I do my first test, all right? And then in, I don't know, November, December, I do my second test. I can still pass, all right? I can still bank. It's called banking or combining, okay? So 12 months is what we need, okay? We're talking about 12 months for a pass. Let's talk about something else now though, because I have to sort of give you a bit of contrast now. So I have to say, however, all right? There is there is something here that I think a lot of people misunderstand, okay? Now, let's look at this score here. Let's just look at an example score here. All right? So in this example, we have the C plus and we have the B here, compensating for each other, all right? But let's imagine now that you got a reading C. Okay, so you didn't get C plus in the reading in this example. Instead, you get a C. Question, is that a pass? You passed the reading in the second test, but in the first test you got a C. Is that a pass? The answer is, I'm afraid, no, it's not a pass. Why? Okay. The reason is, in order to combine scores, right, you must not score below C plus, except, nurses, except now in writing. Okay. In writing, the minimum is C. So you can go down 1 for each sub-skill, if you know what I mean. Okay. So what does this mean? What this means is, in this situation, okay, we are not going to pass the test. We cannot combine these scores because in the reading I got C. And in order to combine scores, you cannot get anything lower than C plus, except the writing. So let's look at this one, okay? In this situation, is that a pass? Can I combine these scores? If you're following what I'm saying, of course the answer is yes. I can combine these scores because the minimum requirement in order to combine scores in writing is C, not C+. Okay, so this is a pass. This is a pass, all right? So that's great news for you nurses, right? This is something that's come in, it's actually a new thing, that C is still a banking score, all right? So let's go to an extreme here. Let's go to an extreme situation. Let's imagine that in 12 months, in your first test, you get C plus in reading, okay, so the first test here, C plus in reading, B in listening, C in writing, C plus in speaking. That's not a great score, okay? But then you come and study with SET English, you do loads of study, you do 4 or 5 hours of study every day with us, you do reading every day, okay? In fact, we do all of the skills every day, reading, writing, speaking and listening in SET English. So let's imagine you study really hard with SET English for 12 months or whatever it is. Second score, you get B, C plus, C plus, B. That is a pass, okay? The writing at C in the first test here is not a problem. You can combine that score, okay? Now, if you understand what I have said so far, I'm a teacher, okay? I work for SET English and we do between 4 and 5 hours of live classes every day, reading classes every day, writing classes, listening, speaking, everything. So I can't really stop testing people, right? So as a teacher, I'm thinking, does the person watching this video actually understand what I was saying, okay? Let's do a test. Let's test to see if you understood what I was talking about here. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to get a little Word document up like this, and I'm going to disappear, all right, and we'll make this a little bit bigger as well, and I'm going to ask you guys a question now, okay? This is your test. Let's imagine in the first test, okay, in the first exam, you get B in reading, okay, you get C plus in writing, you get a B in speaking, and you get a B in, you get a C plus in listening. Okay. Obviously, first question is that a pass? We should all be saying no, right? That is not a pass. Okay. Let me just put my video on here. You should be able to see me. So, what about the second test? Let's go and look at the second test now. Let's imagine that in the second test, okay, I score a C plus in reading, okay, and I score a C in writing. Second test, and I score a C plus in speaking, and I score a B in listening. Okay, this is my first test, B, C plus, B, C plus. This is my second test, C plus reading, C writing, C plus speaking, B listening. If you're watching this video, type in the message underneath this video, what's the answer? Okay, what is the answer here? Is that a pass or not? That's my question. And I'm just going to wait for a second and see what people say on the chat. Pass or not? Or I should really say, can I combine these scores? And I'll just wait for this a little bit, and I'll be looking for comments on YouTube here. I think we have got a few people watching. What do you think? It's not that hard really, is it? Right? Is that a pass? This is a live class, guys, so I'm trying to sort of interact with the class. The answer is yes, that is a pass, right? This is a pass. Why is this a pass? Okay, well, because for reading, I can combine this and this, right? That would be a B. Reading cannot be below C+, but that's okay. This is C+. Okay. For writing, I passed in the first test, but I failed in the second test, but that's okay because C is the minimum score in writing. Speaking, I passed in the first test, but I failed in the second test. Again, there's no problem because I got a C+. I did not get below C+ in the speaking, right? In listening, B, first test, C+. Again, I can combine these scores. The answer is yes. Okay, but what about this now? What about if in the, let's say in listening here, I get a C+. Is that a pass? What do you guys think? If you're watching this video, you can type it on your phone. Unfortunately, that's not a pass, is it? That is not a pass now because my score for one of the tests, listening, is C+, and that is not acceptable by the NMC. You need B in one of the tests. All right. Now, I'm going to finish with this, and I'll take a few questions. Students often ask. Let's talk about. Well, let me ask this question. Are there any other ways of being given a pin by the NMC? Is there anything else? I don't want to do OET. Is there another way? Answer, yes, actually there is another way, right? What you can do is, what you can do, or maybe in the past, when you were studying, that your qualification, if that qualification was taught in English, then I think you can apply for the NMC and you can apply for a pin. Okay, so let me just put this on the board so that's clear for you guys. If your qualification, your medical qualification, okay, was taught in English, then you can work in the NHS. You can work as a nurse. Okay, you don't need to do OET. Here's another question that students often ask. Is this backdated? Okay. What that means is, when does it start from? Let's say that in 2022 I have a score, and in 2023 I have my second score, right? Can I combine a 2022 score with a 2023 score? Okay. And the answer to that, I'm going to say, is I'm not going to tell you in this video. Okay. If you're watching this video, if you're paying attention, and if you're very interested, do two things for me, please. Please like this video. Please share this video. Okay, so like and share, please. Like and share, and put your question in the chat. Okay, I will answer you in the chat, and I will give you the answer. Okay, so all you need to do is put your question in the chat, and I will give you the answer to this. Is it backdated? That means can a 22 be combined, right? 2022 be combined with a 2023 score. All right. Answer is, please like and share this video and put your question in the chat below this video. I will answer there. All right. So I want to say thank you very much, guys, for watching. Hope it was useful. I'm going to sort of hang around now. All right. I'm going to hang around, and I'm going to sort of have a quick read of the chat messages here. So I am here, and I'll be trying to respond to any questions people have. Okay, so if you have any questions, just type them in the chat. If you're watching live, I'll wait for a couple of minutes and I'll answer any questions that you guys have. All right, so let's just do that now.